Hi English learners, welcome back to Speak English Naturally, where real-life moments become natural English practice. I'm Rose.
And I'm Jack. I'm very happy you are here with us today.
Before we jump into today's topic, Jack, I need to ask you a very serious question about your movie habits.
Oh no, am I in trouble? I promise I do not talk during movies. I am a very polite watcher.
I believe you. But tell me this. Have you ever watched a movie in English, without subtitles, while eating a very loud, crunchy snack, like potato chips or popcorn?
Oh, absolutely. That is a dangerous combination. You put a potato chip in your mouth, you bite down, and suddenly the crunching noise in your head is louder than the television.
Exactly! The crunch is so loud. And while you are chewing, the main character on screen says something super important. They reveal the big secret, and you completely miss 3 or 4 words.
Yes, the villain says, the hidden treasure is located under the... And then I bite a chip, crunch, and I just hear, on Tuesday. And I think, wait, under the what on Tuesday?
Right. But here is my real question. When that happens, do you immediately stop the movie, panic, rewind it, and turn on the subtitles just to catch those exactly 3 missing words? Or do you just keep eating your chips and keep watching?
Honestly, I usually just keep watching. I look at what the character is doing. I see that they are running towards a mountain. I hear the dramatic music. I look at their facial expression, and my brain just automatically guesses, okay, the treasure must be in a cave on that mountain. I do not need every single word to understand the story. I just piece the puzzle together using what I see and what I already know.
And that, my friends, is exactly why we are talking about this today. Because that funny little potato chip situation connects perfectly to how we listen to English in the real world.
It really does. When you are listening to someone speak English in real life, you are going to miss words. There will always be some crunchy potato chips in the conversation. Maybe there is a loud bus driving by. Maybe the person is talking too fast. Maybe they use a slang word you have never heard before. Or maybe your brain is just tired.
Yes, but so many English learners feel like they must catch 100% of the words or they have failed. We are taught in school that listening is a test. If you miss 1 word on the audio track, you get a bad grade. So we carry that pressure into the real world.
We do, and it creates so much stress. Today we are going to talk about how to understand English without catching every single word. We will talk about how to guess the context, how to look at the big picture, and most importantly, how to not panic when you miss a word.
If you have ever felt like a deer in the headlights, you know, when your eyes go wide and your brain freezes because a native speaker said something fast, this episode is for you. We are going to change the way you listen to English. We want to make listening feel less like a school exam and more like watching a movie, even with the crunchy snacks.
Exactly. You do not need perfect hearing to have a perfect conversation. Let's make English practice feel a little lighter and a lot more practical today.
Before we start, I want to let you know that today's episode is perfect for B1 learners. If you are intermediate, you are in the right place.
And if you are A2, do not worry. This is a great challenge for you. Remember our topic today. You do not need to understand every single word Rose and I say. Just relax, listen to the flow of our voices, and catch the main ideas.
Listen like you are sitting with 2 friends in a coffee shop. We are not testing you. We just want to share some useful ideas. And near the end of the episode, we will slow things down for our word tour, where we will review some of the best phrases from today's chat.
Yes, the word tour is a great chance to practice speaking with us. So, stay tuned for that. Also, we love hearing from you. While you listen, if you hear a tip that you like, drop a comment below. Just write 1 short sentence in English. It is a great way to practice.
All right, Jack, let's get into it. Let's talk about the trap of 100%. Why do we feel this heavy pressure to understand every single word someone says?
I think it completely comes from how we learned languages in a classroom. Think about a typical listening test in school. The teacher walks to the front of the room. They hold up a C, D, or press play on a computer. The room is perfectly quiet.
Oh, I remember. Complete silence. You can hear a pen drop.
Yes, and the voice on the audio is speaking very slowly, very clearly. Hello, my name is John. I am going to the supermarket to buy 3 red apples. And then you have a piece of paper with a question. How many apples is John buying?
If you missed the word 3, you failed the question. You lose points. So your brain is trained to hunt for specific, perfect words. You become a word hunter.
Exactly, a word hunter. But real life is not a quiet classroom. Real life is a busy street. It is a noisy office. It is a Zoom call with bad internet connection. People do not speak like robots. They mumble. They connect their words. They use idioms.
And when an English learner steps into the real world and tries to use the word hunter strategy, it immediately crashes. Because the moment you focus too hard on catching one specific word, you miss the next 3 sentences.
That is the biggest trap. Perfectionism in listening actually makes you understand less. If you try to hold sand in your hand and squeeze it really tight, the sand falls through your fingers. But if you just hold your hand open, the sand stays. Listening is kind of like that. If you squeeze too hard to catch every word, you lose the whole story.
That is a beautiful image. And it leads to a very real physical reaction that I know every language learner has experienced. Let's talk about the brain freeze.
Oh, the brain freeze. It is terrifying. Let's describe how it happens.
Okay, imagine you are talking to a colleague in English. You are doing great. You understand sentence 1. You understand sentence 2. You are feeling confident. You are nodding.
Yes, you are putting on a brave face. You feel like an English master.
And then the colleague says a sentence, and right in the middle of it, they use a word you have never heard in your life. Let's say they use the word flabbergasted. I was totally flabbergasted by the news.
A great word, but a scary word if you don't know it.
So what happens? Your ears hear flabbergasted. Your brain completely stops. It drops everything else. Your internal voice starts yelling, "Emergency! Red alert! What does flabbergasted mean? Is it food? Is it an emotion? Did I learn this in Unit 4?
And while your brain is having this panic attack in the background, your colleague is still talking. They're already on sentence 4, sentence 5. But you are completely deaf to it because your mind is stuck on that one word. You literally blank out.
Yes, to blank out. That is our first key phrase today. When you blank out, your mind goes completely empty. You cannot think and you stop processing new information. You blank out because you panic.
Panic is the enemy of listening. When you panic, you tense up. You stop breathing normally, and your brain shuts down its ability to guess and use logic.
So the first step to understanding English better is actually an emotional step. You have to give yourself permission to let the unknown word go. Imagine the word is a leaf floating on a river. You see it, you don't know what kind of leaf it is, but you just let it float past you. You do not jump into the river to catch it. You just keep watching the water.
I love that. Just let it float away. Because here is a massive secret that native speakers know, but language learners often forget. Are you ready for it?
I am ready. What is the native speaker secret?
Native speakers do not hear every single word either. We really don't.
Wait, explain that. Because learners think native speakers have super ears.
We don't. Think about your own native language, Rose. When you are sitting in a crowded restaurant with your friends and everyone is talking at the same time and music is playing, do you physically hear every single syllable your friend says?
Honestly, no. If I really think about it, I probably only hear about 60 or 70% of the actual words clearly. The rest is just noise.
Exactly. But you still understand the story perfectly. Why? Because you naturally tune out the background noise. To tune out means to ignore distractions, and more importantly, your brain is an amazing predicting machine.
A predicting machine. That makes so much sense.
Yes, your brain knows the topic. It knows your friend's personality. It knows the grammar structure of your language. So when your friend says, "I was so hungry I could eat a," and then a waiter drops a plate and makes a loud noise, you do not panic.
Right. I don't stop my friend and say, "Excuse me, I missed the last noun in your sentence." I just know the phrases, "eat a horse" or "eat a whole pizza." My brain fills in the blank automatically.
Exactly. Native speakers survive on predictions and context. We do not process language word by word. We process it chunk by chunk, idea by idea. We get the gist.
Ah, to get the gist. That is such a useful phrase for English learners. What does it mean, Jack?
To get the gist means to understand the main idea, the big picture, without needing all the small details. It is the opposite of word hunting.
For example, if I tell you a long 5-minute story about how my car broke down, how the mechanic was rude, and how I had to take 3 buses to get home, you don't need to remember the colour of the bus. You just need to get the gist. Rose had a terrible morning with transportation.
Yes, and a similar phrase we use all the time is to catch the drift. It means almost the same thing. If I'm explaining a complicated plan to you, and I can see you understand the basic direction of my thought, I might say, "Do you catch my drift? Do you understand the general meaning?"
So, for English learners, your goal in a real conversation is not to pass a dictation test. Your goal is simply to get the gist, to catch the drift. If you achieve that, the conversation is a success.
But how do we actually do this? How do we train our brains to stop panicking and start getting the gist?
That is the practical part. And it comes down to using something we call context clues.
Context clues. These are the hints and signals around the words that help you guess the meaning. And the funny thing is, the best context clues are often not spoken at all.
Exactly. Communication is so much more than just vocabulary. Let's look at the scene. If you don't understand the words, look at the body language. Is the person smiling? Are they crossing their arms? Do they look excited or annoyed?
Tone of voice is huge. You can say the exact same sentence, "Oh, that is just great," with a happy tone or a very sarcastic, angry tone. The tone tells you the true meaning, even if you don't know the vocabulary.
Let's do a role play to show how context clues work. Jack, pretend we are at work. I'm your boss. I walk into your office. I look at the clock. I look very stressed. I am walking fast and I say, "Jack, the client is here early. We need to blah right now."
Okay, in that scenario, I did not hear the middle part. You mumbled. But let's look at the context clues. You are my boss. We are at work. You look stressed. You looked at the clock. The client is early. And you said, "right now."
So, what does your brain piece together?
To piece together means to build the meaning by connecting small parts. I piece together that you need a document, or you need me in the meeting room, or we need to prepare immediately. I know it is urgent. I don't need to know if you said, "prepare the files," or "get the coffee." I just know I need to stand up and act fast.
Exactly. You use context clues to piece together the situation. You didn't panic and say, "I'm sorry, could you spell the 3rd word you used?"
That would be a terrible reaction to an angry boss.
So true. But Jack, what happens when you really truly are lost? You tried to get the gist, you looked at the context clues, but the person is talking about a totally new topic, and you are completely confused. How do you handle that without feeling embarrassed?
That is a great question, because guessing is good, but sometimes you just don't know. The trick is to ask for clarification in a way that keeps the conversation moving. You want to keep the flow.
To keep the flow, to maintain the natural rhythm of the talk. What is a bad way to ask for help?
A bad way is to stop everything and say, "I don't understand anything." That completely breaks the flow. It makes both people feel awkward.
Right, it feels heavy. So what is a better way?
Use what you did here to ask a smart question. Show the speaker that you caught at least something. For example, if they're talking about a new software program and you were lost, don't say, "I don't understand." Say, "So, you were talking about the new software, but how exactly does it help with the budget?"
Oh, I love that. You anchor your question to a word you recognised: software and budget. It forces the native speaker to explain the connection in a different way, usually using simpler words, without realising they are helping you.
Exactly. Or you can summarize what you think you heard to check if you are right. Let me make sure I catch your drift. Are you saying we need to delay the project?
That is so natural. Even native speakers do that all the time to make sure they aren't missing out on important details.
Yes, to miss out on something means to fail to experience or understand something good or important. We don't want to miss out on the connection, so we clarify smoothly.
Let's talk about how our learners can practice this skill at home. Because it feels scary to try this in real life immediately, how can they train their brains to focus on the big picture instead of individual words?
The big picture, the overall situation rather than the tiny details. The best way to practice this is by changing how you watch videos or listen to podcasts.
Okay, give us a practical exercise.
Most learners watch a YouTube video, and the moment they hear a word they don't know, they pause the video. They open a dictionary. They write the word down. Then they rewind 10 seconds and play it again.
That sounds exhausting. It takes an hour to watch a 10-minute video.
It is exhausting, and it trains your brain to stop at every obstacle. Here is a better challenge. Tonight, find a 5-minute English video on a topic you like, maybe cooking, maybe travel. Turn the subtitles off and hit play.
And what are the rules?
The rule is, you are not allowed to pause the video. You are not allowed to use a dictionary. You just watch from second 0 to the end. You force your brain to keep moving forward. You force yourself to look at the big picture.
I know some people listening are thinking, but Rose, I will miss so many words. I won't understand everything.
And my answer is, good. Let yourself miss words. Let yourself feel that slight confusion and watch how your brain naturally tries to survive and guess the meaning. This builds incredible mental toughness for real conversations.
That is such a powerful mindset shift. You are practicing the skill of not panicking. You are training your emotional response to the unknown.
Exactly. Because in a real conversation, there is no pause button. You cannot pause your boss. You cannot pause the barista at the coffee shop. You have to keep the flow.
Let's summarise the emotional side of this, because I think a lot of learners carry guilt when they don't understand. They think, I have studied English for 3 years. Why didn't I know that word? I am so stupid.
That is the inner critic talking, and it is so unfair. English has over 1 million words. Native speakers only use a fraction of them. You will never know every word. You have to make peace with the mystery.
Make peace with the mystery. I really like that. It is okay if some parts of the sentence are blurry. Think of it like looking at a beautiful painting. You don't stand 1 inch away from the canvas and stare at one single dot of paint. You stand back. You look at the big picture. You see the colours, the mood, the story.
That is a perfect analogy. Communication is a painting, not a math equation. If you understand the smile, the tone, and the main idea, you have succeeded. You caught the drift. The connection was made.
So the next time you are listening to English and your brain starts to freeze because you heard a word like flabbergasted or some weird idiom, just take a breath. Look at the person's face. Listen to their voice. Let the unknown word float away down the river and focus on the next sentence.
You will be amazed at how much smarter your brain is when you simply allow it to guess instead of forcing it to translate.
I feel lighter just talking about this. I hope our listeners feel a little less pressure today too.
I hope so. Now, speaking of useful vocabulary, I think it is time we slow down and look closely at some of the phrases we used today.
All right, before we wrap up, let's slow things down and take a look at our word tour.
These are the useful words and phrases from today's conversation. Listen, repeat, and try to use one of them in your own sentence later.
Our first phrase is blank out.
To blank out means your mind goes completely empty, usually because you are nervous or surprised. You suddenly cannot remember or process anything.
For example, when the teacher asked me a question, I panicked and blanked out.
Another example. He tried to introduce his friend, but he completely blanked out on her name.
Use this phrase when you want to describe that moment of mental freezing.
Repeat after us. Blank out.
Blank out.
Good. Our second word is panic.
Panic is a sudden feeling of fear or anxiety that stops you from thinking clearly. We talked about how learners panic when they hear a new word.
For example, don't panic if you make a mistake while speaking.
Another example. The sudden noise caused a moment of panic in the room.
Use this when you talk about sudden fear losing control.
Repeat after us. Panic.
Panic.
Excellent. Phrase number 3 is get the gist.
To get the gist means to understand the main idea of something without knowing all the fine details. This is the goal of natural listening.
For example, I didn't understand every word of the movie, but I got the gist.
Another example. Read the article quickly just to get the gist of the story.
Use this phrase when you understand the big picture.
Repeat after us. Get the gist.
Get the gist.
Very nice. Phrase number 4 is very similar. Catch the drift.
To catch the drift also means to understand the general meaning or the hidden intention of what someone is saying.
For example, she didn't say no directly, but I caught her drift.
Another example. He spoke very fast, but I managed to catch his drift.
Use this when you understand the direction of a conversation.
Repeat after us. Catch the drift.
Catch the drift.
Great. Number 5 is a phrasal verb. Tune out.
To tune out means to stop listening to something or ignore background noise. Sometimes you do it on purpose, sometimes by accident.
For example, the cafe was noisy, but I managed to tune out the music and focus on my book.
Another example. The lecture was so boring that I started to tune out after 10 minutes.
Use this when you block distractions or stop paying attention.
Repeat after us. Tune out.
Tune out.
Awesome. Phrase number 6 is piece together.
To piece together means to build the whole story or meaning by combining small clues or parts, like putting a puzzle together.
For example, by looking at his body language, I pieced together that he was angry.
Another example. The police are trying to piece together what happened last night.
Use this when you figure something out using small hints.
Repeat after us. Piece together.
Piece together.
Good job. Number 7 is context clues.
Context clues are the hints around an unknown word, like tone, situation, or other words, that help you guess its meaning.
For example, if you don't know a word, use context clues to guess what it means.
Another example. Her facial expression was a huge context clue.
Use this when talking about reading or listening strategies.
Repeat after us. Context clues.
Context clues.
Spot on. Phrase number 8 is miss out on.
To miss out on something means to lose an opportunity to experience or enjoy something good. We don't want to miss out on a good conversation just because of one unknown word.
For example, don't miss out on the party tonight.
Another example. If you worry too much about grammar, you miss out on the joy of speaking.
Use this when talking about lost opportunities or experiences.
Repeat after us. Miss out on.
Miss out on.
Almost done. Number 9 is keep the flow.
To keep the flow means to maintain the natural, smooth movement of a conversation or activity without stopping awkwardly.
For example, Instead of stopping to check the dictionary, try to keep the flow of the chat.
Another example. She asked a clever question to keep the flow going.
Use this phrase when you want to avoid awkward pauses.
Repeat after us. Keep the flow.
Keep the flow.
Perfect. And our final phrase, number 10, big picture.
The big picture is the overall view or perspective of a situation, ignoring the minor details.
For example, stop worrying about one grammar mistake. Look at the big picture. You are communicating.
Another example. A good manager always focuses on the big picture.
Use this when you want someone to zoom out and look at the whole situation.
Repeat after us. Big picture.
Big picture.
Fantastic work on the word tour. You now have some wonderful new tools to talk about listening and understanding.
So let's wrap up today's conversation. What is the main thing we want our learners to remember today, Rose?
The most important thing is this. Perfectionism is the enemy of listening. Do not treat a real conversation like a school test. You do not need to catch every single word. If you catch the drift, if you get the gist, you are doing a great job.
Exactly. When you hear a word you don't know, don't panic and blank out. Let the word float away. Look at the speaker's face. Listen to their tone. Use those context clues and look at the big picture. Trust your brain to piece it together.
Your practical step for today is exactly what Jack suggested earlier. Find a short 5-minute video in English today. Watch it without subtitles. And do not pause it. Just let the language flow over you and practice getting the gist.
It might feel uncomfortable at first, but it is one of the fastest ways to build your natural listening confidence.
Now we want to hear from you. We have a question for you to answer in the comments.
Tell us, what is one English topic or situation where you often feel confused or miss words? Is it movies, meetings, or talking on the phone?
Let us know in the comments. You can also pick one phrase from today's word tour, maybe get the gist or tune out, and try writing your own sentence. We love reading your practice sentences.
If this episode helped you feel a little more relaxed about your English listening, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who also studies English. It really helps our community grow.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Remember to be kind to yourself when you practice.
You've been listening to Speak English Naturally.
Real English, real conversations, positive energy.
See you in the next episode.